Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here. Hope you're happy, healthy and well. It's time for a new book review today where I share some life lessons out of books that I've been reading. Now this morning as I sat here on my couch, I finished this book. It is a library book as you can see, and it's from American author Helen Phillips, and this is her latest novel. She published it in 2024 and it's called Hum. When I saw it on the library shelf, I decided to take it because there were two things that intrigued me about this book. The very first one was this cover design, which I quite like, and it's a tree that has a neural network. Second thing that caught my eye was the story. And the reason it caught my eye is because in recent times, I have been reading books by Benjamin Labatut and also other near future dystopian novels, which basically draw into and try and understand what a possible future world would look like, especially with a world that has artificial intelligence that is driving the entire society. It's intriguing me simply because of some of the things that have been mentioned in this book that I see in normal everyday life that somehow doesn't strike me as being beneficial to society. But then again, what do I know? All I know is that AI now is integrated in so many things, and it's integrated in our technologies and in the platforms that we use, and we see it more and more online through our social networks, through our YouTube channels, through everything. The idea of how AI is integrated into the world and how society is changing with regards to the impact and the advent of AI into our normal everyday life. What happens is once this AI starts getting integrated into robot or humanoid type robots around the home and workers who do the procedural jobs out there. And so this intriguing futuristic society is portrayed in this book that gives you a representation of what might be of the future. But of course, some of the things that I gleaned from this book was that some of the research in here was based around 2014, 2015, up to about 2019. And one of the things I have learned is that with the advent of AI, things are changing quickly every single day. So even things that people were talking about in 2019 might be old school now. Now, what is this book about? It is about a young family. In particular, it's written from May's point of view, and she's the mother. And she's seeing that in her family, Jem, her husband, and also her two very young children, Lou and Sai, are addicted to technology. In their home, they have what's known as wombs. I was surprised at the use of the term, and they're spelt out W-O-O-M as opposed to W-O-M-B. And I think maybe the author was trying to say something here with regards to how these modules allow these people to seek solace in a crazy world. Their world has been decimated by climate change, and so they live in a city that has very low air quality, that people are desperate. It's bleak reading when it comes to the type of futuristic world that Helen Phillips has created here. But what May sees in her own family is that her children are addicted to the technology, and they wear these things called bunnies, which are watches that effectively are their entertainment systems, are their educators. That's what the kids are always on. And she doesn't like that because she's seeing that her children aren't also looking at each other. They're not having eye contact with each other. And this is really concerning for her. Add on top of this that she lost her job to AI. She can't find work. And on top of that, she also undergoes this operation that changes her face so that it doesn't get picked up by surveillance. Now, in this future world, there are what's known as hums, and hums are humanoid robots which do the various jobs in society. And she's getting desperate to find work and be able to provide for her family. But most of all, she wants that family connection. She needs that nostalgia of what family life was like before this dystopic future. She spends a lot of money and gets herself a ticket into a refuge and a forest where she takes them. The second part of this book is she takes them into what is kind of like a Disney World of forest, and people pay a lot of good money to get into this place where they can relax for a few days. But what happens there, and I'm not going to say any spoilers, something happens in the forest that has repercussions for her afterwards. In the third part of this book, we see her life unraveling with regards to how technology is so integrated into their lives and how they can't extricate themselves from it. The very first thing that came quite evident to me and was this full-bore consumerism that these humanoids also provided. Not only did they provide some kind of service to society and the community by doing the different jobs, but they were constantly advertising and promoting products to the people and asking them to approve transactions so they could glean what the person was going through, and these hums would then offer products that they would transact immediately and through some delivery system would be at their doorstep straight away. And these things actually reminded me of the time during COVID where we went crazy and bought all sorts of stuff, and delivery was our main option, to the point now that having home deliveries is not seen as quite strange. And in this book, it seemed to have gone to the nth degree. The second life lesson for me, and as I was reading it, was, I guess, the feelings of May. And I could understand where she was coming from with regards to wanting a change in her family, with regards to how her family related with each other. The fact that they use their bunnies or their wombs to be able to extricate themselves away from each other and go into a bubble and isolate themselves in their own different world. And she wanted more of a connection in her family. She wanted to be able to remember what life was like. And she felt that by removing the bunnies and turning them off or keeping them hidden away in cupboards away from her children, she thought she was doing a good thing by them. But is she? But it does bring up the questions of how we rely so much on our iPhones and how we feel when we don't have these technologies near us. I don't know about you, but if you've ever gone a day without your phone, or if you've happened, God forbid, to leave your phone at home and you feel as if you've lost a limb, you don't know what to do because your entire world and your entire life is on that phone. The third life lesson from this book was how much importance do we give to these hums, even though we try to do our best, whether it's getting off the socials or whether, like in May's case, to try and prevent using our technology or hiding it away, giving an opportunity for our family to put their technology down and doing things together. That always comes at a cost sometimes, whether people get irate, whether they want their tools, their technology back, whether something happens and they need to rely on their technology and they didn't have it with them. So you can see how things can escalate for the worse. It made me understand where May was coming from, because there were many times that even in my life, I look to people and I say, why aren't they looking at me when I speak to them? Or am I also disconnecting from someone when they're talking to me because I'm on my phone? Or am I too quick to go back to my phone and surf through the internet on my phone when I get bored? What are some of the things that I liked in this book? It is the first time that I've seen a novel that has such a big section at the back, very detailed end notes. A lot of the things in each of the chapter that she mentions, She makes it to the nth degree. She provides this futuristic world that we can recognize in today's world, but she's taken it to another level. And the reason she's taken it to another level is because she had read some research and some articles and other books and posts online about what might happen in the future. And she integrates it all. And every chapter has different references that she's come up with. So this was really interesting because for me, when I also read through her end notes, it made me think that this book would be a very good book club book. So if you're running a book club, I would recommend this book because of the discussion that it could generate, because also there are tons of references and resources, might be already too old. As things are logarithmically escalating, I think some of the research might be a little bit too old nowadays, and things may have moved maybe for the worse. But there's a lot of food for thought for book clubs here. What I didn't like about this book is it lacked flow for me. It lacked readability. There was a lot of dialogue. The chapters were short, and there were certain situations that I would have liked more information. For example, she has an operation that changes her face so that she gets paid so she can support her family. And also, this facial operation means that they can't survey her, and she has to use the more old-fashioned approach of fingerprinting, which I guess is another idea of how quickly technology can change over time. And at times I found it difficult to read and difficult to get the thread. So I had to constantly pretend to be May and try and think, well, what is May thinking here? As a mother, seeing all this change in her environment, what could she be feeling? And so only when I could put myself in May's shoes, that's when I understood the intention of the author. So at times I did find it a little bit hard to read, but by no means impossible. You can glean the storyline and the plot, and you can understand the type of difficulties that May gets in. That's enough for now. I would recommend this book. I would recommend it for book clubbers if you want a book that gets people talking. If you've read any of Helen Phillips' books, please let me know. I'd be interested to find out. Anyway, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Bye for now.